Well, good morning, everybody. I just wanted this morning to talk to you about some of the work that we've been doing with pension funds to try and articulate their investment beliefs. Now, one of the outcomes from the workshops that we're doing is that pension funds should be able to come up with a list of 4 or 5 priorities, SDG goals that they want to prioritise in their pension funds. These are broad themes that they'll be able to follow through on. And the next step for them, once they've done that, is that they need to see how their current portfolio is aligned to the SDG goals. Now, that may then lead on to them moving further along the spectrum of capital, for example. But what I'm finding is that a number of them now are starting to do SDG mapping exercises. So they're starting to think about looking for a firm who can map their current portfolio to their SDG goals. Now, we've been doing some research at Pensions for Purpose. Noreen Khan, an associate, has been helping us with that research, and we're hoping to publish a report at the beginning of June, so more on that later. But it's become clear to me that there are probably 4 different types of providers in SDG mapping. There's the niche data firms, the specialist firms who've been doing this for a while. There's the consultants who use that data and then wrap it into some investment consulting advice around ESG. There's then the fund managers who will not only SDG map to their own portfolios, but some of them will also consider the wider pension fund portfolio. And then there are the providers who think more in terms of frameworks, which allow you yourselves to put together some sort of mapping exercise. Now, what sort of firm a pension fund will need to go for will depend very much on what they're looking for. So I've got some questions that for pension funds to think through before they go out to tender for an SDG mapper. So, first of all, the answer will depend on, do you want to ultimately move along the spectrum of capital, or is this just a pure snapshot to tell you where your current portfolio is? Now, if your intention is to try and mould your investment strategy to become more intentional or more purposeful, then you'll probably need some consulting advice wrapped into your exercise. Second question is, what are you going to use the SDG mapping for? Is it just for internal use only, or are you going to use it as a way to communicate externally with members? Now, if it's communicating externally, then you'll really want to be carefully looking at how these different providers give the output of their analysis. How user-friendly, how understandable is it? You'll then want to think about how granular do you want the SDG mapping to be? For example, are you going to use it to actually pick through individual holdings in your portfolio and challenge your managers as to why they're holding them and what they're doing in terms of engagement? Or is this more of a strategic exercise where you're just using it to help you form your thematic strategy views? And then finally, what proportion of your portfolio are you looking to map? Is it just the listed equity portfolio, which is relatively straightforward? Or do you actually want to try and do a wider portfolio, perhaps all the listed assets, or perhaps even some of the private markets assets? And the different firms that we've been looking at have different capabilities. As I say, there'll be more of this coming through at the end of May, beginning of June, but I thought it was helpful at least to put those questions out there for any funds that are thinking about doing this.